Hello, everyone. Good evening or good morning or whatever time zone it is for you. Welcome to another qualifier for the Link to the Past Randomizer main tournament. This is qualifier number 8, so I think we're not quite halfway there, but close. So both of these runners we're featuring today, we've got Lanabean and Maniacal. Both these runners have done 4 qualifiers already, so if this one goes well for both these runners, then they may elect to not have to do any and just be able to sit pretty nicely qualified into the tournament. So what's definitely going to be a good show today when you have so not exactly high stakes, because with only 4, like you can afford to drop one, but you always like to close it out and get your 5th race, get you in. So, and we should be starting in about pretty soon. Race time room is about 10 minutes, and we got the 10-minute delay here. So this will be an open seed, like unlike the last year's tournament where it was standard. We will not be doing the escape sequence first unless the runners elect to go for that, get a weapon or something, but you'll be starting in Link's house or wherever sank if you want to go there too. But it'll be in the open mode. So a little bit more freedom in this early game. So it'll be a bit interesting to see if these runners both can elect to do the same sort of opening or different. This mode, actually, one thing to note is that the early game money can sometimes be a little on the low side because we have replaced a lot of items with heart pieces. So some of the 20 rupees and stuff get taken out. So it can be, sometimes you can see some struggles getting the money in the early game. So I'll try to see how these runners are able to handle that. Looks like we've got, different starts. Maniacal's going to start at Sank, and we see Lanabean pulls the hammer out of Link's house, so that's nice to just get a weapon right away. And quick map check, we see that there was a red pressed crystal on Hera, red pendant on Eastern, and normal crystal on Desert. Yeah, looks like Lanabean's going to do the sort of uncle route where you go up and get the uncle. You might even see Lanabean do the front of escape. Some runners will do that if they get a weapon and she has the hammer. We're going to get this nice tree pole, which can give you the money is always nice because you got the a little bit less money in the early game here sometimes. And meanwhile, Maniacal not electing to check Lumberjack Cave, which you'll see a lot of times in these qualifiers, especially with those boots there in the chest by the uncle. So very nice there for the uncle routers to get those sub 1 minute boots. And we see, so we got bombs and the boots and the hammer. So definitely nice for uncle routers today.
Did I just hear Jet Seed?
I wouldn't get carried away just yet. But yeah, I'm joined here by Hub as my co-commentator. So Hub, well, how do you feel? What do you generally do when you're opening up for an open seed like this?
Well, I'll do Uncle first of all, and then see what I get there. If I do end up with a hammer with Lana doing, we will just go ahead and do escape and get that out the way.
Yeah, and that's what Lanabean is doing with that hammer going to go there. Also, something to note about Maniacal, he's not going to do the sort of standard one where you go from Sanctuary to Lost Woods to CAC. He's doing the save and quit out of Lost Woods, which is another thing you'll see. Again, and with this early money, it can be useful because Maniacal did not get any bombs and only had 55 rupees, so you might end up orphaning like the bottle vendor if he had just gone to CAC. So instead, he's going to go over and do some more checks and find the boots, and maybe he'll even go in the front of escape too. So I kind of touched on it a bit earlier that we have a modified hard item pool for these races. At least all the qualifiers will be the open with the modified hard item pool, which will basically cap us off at 3 swords. There will be only one. You can only get a max at 1 bottle, though there's 2 placed, and the bottle will always be empty when you get it. There's some other things like only at best 1 shield, and the bows are not progressive. So there's only 1 bow, and the silvers are a separate item, which can definitely change some things because sometimes that 1 bow can be really well hidden. And we've got Lanabean closing out the front of escape here, just 10 arrows, so nothing really of note in this front of escape. It is nice to get it out of the way though, because this can be an annoying thing to check.
Yeah, and if you're feeling very gutsy, you could death warp from the prison if you save the green guard for later. to just do the dark cross without a lantern. It is kind of possible, but you have to get used to filling out dark rooms, so that's something always to keep in mind.
Yeah, and something that actually helps with that dark room is the boots, because it doesn't really help with the first few rooms if you don't have the sword, but if you bonk off the bottom torch in dark cross, you will be directly across from the chest. So you can just bonk, walk up, open the chest. It's really nice.
Speaking of bonking, I don't think we got anything important from the bonk rocks, but here's hoping, fingers crossed, and making sure everything's all well and dandy in the Kakariko village.
Yeah, definitely nice to go over to Kakariko really quick with the boots. Also, already having gotten 3 bombs from the uncle. Lanabean will be able to clear out the bomb locked portions of escape. Bit surprised to see Lanabean leave behind that 20 when you're at 35 rupees, but you probably will be able to get up to the 100 with the blinds hut and the well. Yeah, and it is a bit surprising to see Lanabean skip the lumberjack, because she has the boots, whereas when Maniacal did, sometimes you'll put off lumberjack till you have boots because you don't want to worry about it until you have them. But with the boots, as soon as you get Aga, you can go up and get that lumberjack item. And yeah, like you mentioned, Maniacal is going to take that play and go to the back to the Dark Cross. I'm actually interested to see if Maniacal may try to go all the way to back of escape, given that he has the small key, whereas Lanabean did not. And when I say interested to see, I'm speaking purely metaphorically, because on Maniacal's screen, we are going to see next to nothing. It's very dark on his screen.
Yeah, usually you'll have a lantern for this occasion, and if you are playing randomized in the standard settings, when you escape with Zelda, she will provide you light instead.
Yeah, and interesting to note, in that setting, you will have the light even if you come back, because you could have a situation where the back of escape has something and you weren't able to get bombs. They wanted to make sure that you could still go back and get it. Ooh, a sword and Dark Cross, so that's definitely worth it, I would say. And yeah, yep. Maniacal is going to follow all the way to back of escape, it looks like.
Yeah, it makes sense with the sword now in hand. You have less trouble trying to fill out in the room. And most likely you'll be able to kill the rat that's at the far left to get the key. Once they get into that one specific room, that is.
And meanwhile, we've gotten, you're seeing a bit of the heart piece spam. You get in these early seeds, a lot of heart pieces showing up in the well and blindside, because there are just so many. I believe there's 48 heart pieces now with because there's only 3 heart containers. So everything, but you can still get to 20 hearts. It's just that you'll get there slower because they've been all replaced with the heart pieces. And that's kind of part of this heart item pool, is they want to make it so that your health generally will increase a bit slower. But you still can get, I like that you can still get more health, because sometimes it feels bad when you do a really heavy clear of a heart item pool and still end on 13 hearts. It just, I want to have those hearts to show me how much I've done this seed.
And unfortunately, the back of the escape the sewers part did not have anything to yield, and it seems like Kakariko Village is pretty dry too, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, this whole seed so far, we started off with the hammer and the boots if you went the uncle route, and then since then, I mean, Maniacal did luckily get that sword from Dark Cross, which is another good early thing, but yeah, it's been pretty empty so far.
Wow, not even bothering to get the piece of heart up at the library. Then again, I wouldn't blame them.
Yeah, in this mode, you'll see runners will definitely skip a lot of heart pieces because they're just everywhere.
Oh, do not say if it quit there. We just saw ourselves some power gloves. We're going to go ahead and grab those.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're 1 item away from getting Dark World access, and that will definitely open up a lot more options for our runners.
Yep, for sure. And the glove does give you we'll let them go up to the mountain if they get the lamb. Doesn't really give them anything in the immediate term, but maybe a desert later if we find a bookend, a torch. So definitely a nice find.
Who knows? Maybe a Guinness closet will have our moon pearl, just to nicely fit that one in.
Yeah, Glove also puts Zora into logic as well. So Zora is actually a bit interesting in this mode because you can see Lanabean already cleared Kakariko only has 36 rupees, and that's not uncommon in these seeds. If you don't get an early 300, you'll often be quite lacking in the rupee department.
Yeah, in situations like this, even not having 300, if you have like at least 250, you could do Houlihan and try to get the rest of those rupees in some form of way. But oh well, there's our Moon Pearl. Never mind.
Yep, that's gonna give these runners a lot more options. So we definitely expect to still see Lanabean maybe go to Mini Moldorm Cave or something, but then go up to you got the Dark World now available, Hype Cave. Get to see what dungeons you're gonna have to beat this seed.
Here's hoping the Dark World Totorock is just appended today.
That is always nice. Turtle Rock just requires so many items to clear. It can reduce the load of how much you have to do in the seed if it's a pendant. Though on the flip side, when it is a pendant and you have to beat it anyway, that's kind of awful.
Is this Totorock in general being awful? But it can't be as bad as actually, now I thought about it, it can't be. No, it is bad. We do get our silvers, another sword, some bombs, and a piece of heart from our mini Moldrum cave, and that's a prompt of a save and quit.
Yeah, I really like that save and quit because Ice Rod Cave, like you can get to it later and maybe you'll have money to go to the Zora area. With the boots, you'll be definitely tempted to do the water walk. And you've got so much in the Dark World, like just go there as quick as possible. I definitely like this play from Lanabean. And one of the decisions, quick early game decision you'll see in these seeds is when you get your Dark World access, do you want to go to Hype Cave or do you want to go to Village of Outcasts? And they can actually be pretty impactful depending on what happens to be in those places. Like, for instance, if the mitts are over in Hype Cave and then the hook shots over in Hammer Pegs, it would probably be more helpful to do Hype Cave first. But if Thieves Town's a crystal and it has a good progression, then you're going to feel pretty good doing this first.
Or you could be a complete degenerate like me and go to Skull Woods first, at least the front half.
And we see Pendant Skullwoods, Green Pendant Swamp, and Red Crystal Thief. So immediately that Green Pendant Swamp, we just had a Hover Seed recently, or Moldor Bounce if you're so inclined. So as soon as you see that in a quali, immediately you're worried a bit about Hover Seeds. So we'll definitely see these runners make sure to go to Hammer Pegs in time to check to see if the hook shot's going to be there.
And Lana be taking the Skull Woods approach today. We'll see what we come across here in the first half of Skull Woods. Even though it's a pendant, it still has 2 items that we can check out. And we're hoping for some big items here.
Yeah, like you mentioned, a lot of runners just like to dip the front of Skull Woods, pendant or not. Especially, one of the things that weighs into the equation for me is if you have the mitts, then it's easy to not go here because you can just walk directly south. But if you don't have the mitts, then you can have to go through all those bushes. And it's not bad with the boots and the sword, but if you have neither of those, it's quite a long time to cut all those bushes. And meanwhile, Maniacal is we'll see what Maniacal decides to do out of here. If he's gonna follow the same thing Lanabean did. We'll see where he elects to start his Dark World from.
Looks like he's going Hype Cave.
Yep, opposite sort of decision. I personally really like the going to Hype Cave first because you get to check to see which one's a crystal. Because it's really annoying when you go and then it's Thieves Town and Skull are both pendants and you're in Village of Outcasts. But this time Thieves a crystal, so it's going to be it's pretty nice to be in Village of Outcast.
A very clean room right there from Lanabean. That can be mayhem. And we do get an ether medallion for our troubles here. Lanabean waiting for the bus to pick them up to take them back to the entrance.
Yep, and we saw a different medallion on Maniacal sign, getting that Quake medallion from the Hype Cave. Also getting 600 rupees, which is really good because we are pretty low, and you need money to get into both Pod and to do Zora. So Maniacal should be set on money for the rest of the seed.
Speaking of Pod, it looks like that's where they'll be going for the time being. Gonna scope that area out. They do have the needed. Well, no, they don't have the bow yet. They could theoretically dip into it, but it looks like there's going to be some checking around the area first before they make that call.
Yeah, I like the going from Hype Cave to Pyramid Legend Catfish a lot in Quals, because those two locations can sometimes get pushed back late. And there's the mirror, so Maniacal definitely getting what appears to be a payoff. We don't know if the mirror will be required this seed, since Swamp is it's a pendant, but it's definitely very helpful. It can be mountain access too. So, and it's just generally good to get around, because like now Maniacal can mirror from Catfish and get to the Zora area. And then if he wants to do the flippers checks with Ice Rod Cave later, he can just water walk to the waterfall and then water walk to Hobo for some nice. Well, actually, no, with the Moon Pearl. Or no, sorry, flippers would make him not be able to water walk all the way to Waterfall Cave. And Lanabean expressing her displeasure with that treasure shop guy. He's just running a business. He can't always give us good stuff. And Lanabean's going to show us what we've got in Thieves Town today. It's fully clearable. It's a crystal. Pretty easy decision to go in there and beat this.
And we get our Bacon Sword. Maniacal getting very, very lucky with those outside checks today.
Yeah, those two swords, that could be, I think we'll see a decent amount of runners on Master Sword, depending on where that fourth sword is today, because it's not hard to imagine somebody not doing Dark Cross or not doing Catfish this seed. So Maniacal proud to be feeling pretty good about already having Tempered Sword.
And we just scoped out Titan's Mint on Zora Ledge, which is really huge, because that means if our runners are not doing the speedrunner degeneracy, as we like to call it, and do fake, not even fake flipper, but splash deletion, they're going to have to get the flippers in order to get to those.
Yeah, you need the Maniacal did not have any sort of items that he could use to try to glitch there. He could set up the double water walk. We'll see if he wants to do that. It is an option, because he has the Moon Pearl. But it's not everyone knows that trick, but it is an option if he feels like he wants to get those mitts really badly. And the problem with the double water walk is you can't get the Waterfall Cave checks, so it would be quite out of the way and probably not worth the time commitment.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say the flippers might not be required this seed, so you could see runners do that if mitts end up being go mode.
Well, I think we need Titan's Mints anyways from Misery Mire, right?
No, we 100% need the mitts, but we don't need the flippers, so we could have a situation where the runners are only mitts away from go mode. It's unlikely, but it's possible. The flippers are logically required. Yes, that is correct. Ice Palace is required, but we can skip that requirement. And also, obviously, the mitts are making it logically required too. Yeah, we're going to see a bit of follow the leader here now. Maniacal going to go into Thieves Town, not even worrying about clearing out the rest of the Village Valcast, because he's not going to find anything that's going to make this Thieves Town much better as long as you're confident with doing 6-heart Thieves Town.
I don't know. Kate may seem pretty handy in this situation. Hint, hint, wink, wink. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, runners should be pretty confident in dealing with it. Especially since blind is a very good scripted fight. And that's probably one of the first things you'll learn in this randomized setting. Just learning how to do the blind fight very easily. Well, not even then. Just in general speed running for Link to the Past.
Yeah, absolutely. Blind can be, if you don't know how to do the blind fight, it's actually a pretty difficult fight. But if you're practiced in it, it's one of the easiest. And there's that Ice Rod, very good to find. Not going to have to go on a epic hunt for it later.
Man, that is even if we were going to Turtle to begin with. But it's still useful if we're doing Death Palace as soon as possible, because that can be our main item to defeat the landmos very quickly with 2 hits off the ice rod for each body.
Yeah, absolutely. Maniacal getting the God Pixel first try. Very nice. And Lanabean showing us that blind script. It is a little bit interesting when you have Fighter Sword because it's just a little bit shorter than the Master Sword, which you might be used to, but Lanabean able to still do it really quickly and efficiently. And throwing the boomerang for some extra swag.
Some masterclass work there. And for this stream, we got Lanabean securing the first crystal.
Yep, definitely a good grab. I think the main thing that Maniacal has is one, that mirror and Mitt's knowledge. Like, you gotta think that Lanabean will get over to that mirror. So probably will get the Master Sword. But knowing about the Mitts too is pretty nice. Because Lanabean, having gotten the boots a little bit earlier, has been a little bit ahead for in terms of checks so far.
How many digs will it take? All right,
a lot today.
Anytime, gang.
And just a heart piece. So it's looking like we might need to do they need, quote unquote, logically need to do a dip into Eastern or Pod. Maybe Sahasrah's hut could give us some sort of progression, but we're coming low on things we could do. These runners also have the option to sequence break the mountain for a lot of checks.
They do have the hammer, so with Lanabean, when they get the mirror, they'll be able to do Death Mountain as well once they break the logic of that.
Yeah, we saw Lanabean also bomb Stumpy, even so opinionated about the Stumpy hate to even add a little extra lag. So you like to see that runners having some fun.
And overall, Maniacal side, they just secured their first crystal, and most likely they'll be following the paces to get the rest of the items, because I know they haven't done Digging Game and Stumpy yet. But with the mirror, they can do K45, and that will give us a new check.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because Maniacal will do K45, which if that's something that would be really big for him. However, with Lanabean having not done K45 and not knowing where the Mitts are, there could be a situation where Lanabean is incentivized to go back to Village of Outcasts for Smith Chain earlier, and then you can get in the same sort of situation where if that's something good. So we'll see. Lanabean getting that very convenient mirror to let you do Zora and Catfish. It's really nice to get that there. If only they had the bow or flippers so they could get both of these runners would have been able to get those mitts.
Given the circumstances that these runners are in, I think it's fine to kind of dip into certain areas, but with the mirror, if you really want to dip into a dungeon, I'm not sure if the item is there and whatnot, mirror helps you out a lot because it just saves you a lot of time moving back and forth areas.
Yeah, it's always a difficult decision when you have the ability to sequence break the mountain for a lot of items, because you will go out of logic, and the main concern for me at least, would be we have Maya or Crystal, so if you sequence break the mountain, you may be leaving the flute behind somewhere down here. And there's the hook shot, so that's a really good find for Maniacal. So because this could be a hover seed, so that might not be a required hook shot.
Even then, that still saves you a little bit of
no, it's great to find.
It's great to find, don't get me wrong, but
what I'm concerned about is that's a particularly concerning location for the hook shot, because depending on how the seed lays out, that's absolutely a skippable hook shot. Like, you could have runners who do not find that if you did Village of Outcasts first.
And with Titansons being on Zora's ledge, they may not be doing Blacksmith anytime soon at all.
Yeah, because we don't know where the flippers are going to be to logically get that. Looks like Maniacal is going to stay in logic, headed over to Pod. It looks like Pod going to probably combo Pod, Eastern, and Saha Shrala's hut together.
Probably not in that order. Since they have Mara, they can just go to Saha's closet immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully Saha has the bow. That's what we're hoping here today.
Yeah, you do Saha's first, and then you probably do Pod first because Pod is pretty like you're. It's going to take around the same time if you do the back first versus later. More bombs from Lanabean. Not very happy about that back escape.
Appropriate expressing the frustration.
And we got 2 heart pieces and a set of bombs from Sashrala.
Man, if we only had one more heart piece, we would have gotten a jackpot there.
Yeah, so it's the slot machines love to do that to you. They give you just 2 of them and then make you feel like you were close, but you still get $0.
Saha even scattering us now, taking lessons from Zora.
And it looks like Lanabean is going to make that play where you sequence break the mountain. And personally, I like this given what they know about the sea, what both these runners know, because we've got if you find the fire right up here, then you may not need to hit the lamp. So if you ended up skipping that, that'd be fine. If you find the flute, then you know that the lamp is what's blocking your Dark World access. You could find something like the bow, which would let you clear something, and then maybe the flute or lamp is in pod, and you get to single dip. And it really only comes back to bite you if either A, you follow something that's out of logic for nothing, or you just get to skip a lot of checks on the mountain. And I guess also that you could possibly more efficiently route the mountain later if, for instance, you got those mitts. But I think it's worth the risk. Looks like Maniacal's going to go for this hover here. It saves a lot of time if you can get it, but this is one of the more difficult hovers because you have to not only hover, you have to get to a pixel-perfect alignment on this rail here. And you can see Maniacal trying to line it up. He's got it now. And very nice. So that's one way to sequence break these checks without the bow, and very impressive there from Maniacal.
Saves a lot of time and skips the Mimic bow-locked room, which is wild.
Yeah, and that is definitely like you can have runners that can hover. There's can hover, and then there's being able to do that hover consistently, and it's a pretty big gap.
Like, you're not even hovering to show off. You're hovering to actually literally save a lot of time on that one.
Yeah, that is one of the bigger time saves you can get from hovering, especially if you're going to have to either potion glitch or mimic clip in this case.
So we have yet to get anything resourceful from Pod yet, but it seems like all the items are backloaded.
Yep, as Pod tends to be, we even had the compass and map in the front, so it's about as boring of a Pod front as you could get.
Meanwhile, Lanabean's getting a whole heart for her efforts of going into Tower of Hera. And in here we get the big key, so we're kind of hoping that the small key will not show up anytime soon.
Yeah, because that was actually more important than normal, because Lanabean cannot clear this dungeon if this big key had not been right there, because Lanabean does not have the hook shot and does not have a fire source.
Maniacal filling in the dark, looking for what these 2 chests will contain. We get some literacy in our hands, and in the next check, we are going to get a piece of heart.
Yeah, I think that book is actually pretty helpful right now. You could use it to go check desert. They'll probably not without a fire source, but also it makes it so you don't orphan the tablet on the mountain. And unfortunately, Lanabean not getting that bomb jump there, so it's a bit of a time loss. In fact, you can either use the Ice Rider mirror there. Maniacal doing another dark room here, trying to pull these 2 chests. You can't get you could have gotten the lamp out of that bottom chest because of the advanced logic. That would just mean the fire rod is somewhere before the lamp, but these ones cannot have the lamp.
Man, at this point, who's now? You didn't already covered like 75% of the dark room that you will have to take on to finish this seed.
Yeah, I guess the reason that you unlock the lamp is just because they need a fire source. If Maniacal were to get the lamp, it would be nice just because he could go beat Desert.
What if
And
the fire rod was in this big chest?
Nope, just one of the rare full heart containers.
I was gonna say even rare because it's Sanctuary Heart, but no, it's not.
All right, so we'll get to see Lanabean hoping for that second item to be here because that key did show up in the big chest. So, I never like when there's an item in the Hera basement, especially in a qual. So I'm rooting for Moldorm to drop an item here.
Almost put Lanabean off the arena, but securing that
some
kill.
extra hammer slashes hits on Moldorm.
Ooh.
That is rough. So there's a item in Hera basement, and the fire sources are not early this seed. So there's not even. I guess I would honestly prefer that because then at least other runners don't have the choice to do that yet. And yeah, that is as Chad's pointing out, the Pyramid Fairy is available now. It's not in Logic because that Hera clear was out of Logic, but it's available having beaten Hera and Thieves. Which actually, that's actually good thinking by Lanabean to do this first, because if she's thinking about going to pod, you can just turn in that bomb on the way. And I think that'll be some pretty nice routing.
And hopefully the checks from the Pyramid Fairy will give us something very good. Maybe the bow that we've been kind of looking for throughout this entirety of the seed so far.
Yeah, I think when you do a play like Lanabean is doing, where you sequence break the mountain, you're hoping, okay, maybe we've got Lamp and Eastern or something, and that's the only thing that's gating me from going up the mountain, and I could just go up the mountain and get some other better sort of progression and just get that Lamp later.
And we are in Paradox Cave.
Yeah, we got 7 items in here, hoping for some sort of progression here, because we're really running low on stuff to check. We've got Agena, we've got the Front of Desert's actually not in Logic yet because that book is fire locked. So it's looking, Agena's got something, maybe. And that is, I think, our last sword there, because it was a green 20. It could also be, I believe, a male upgrade.
We do get some more arcane here, and that will be useful for Misery Mire and yeah, Ice Palace, right? Yeah, Ice Palace is a crystal.
Yeah. And we got, yes, Cana Samaria was the main pull from the mountain up there over on Lanabean's side. Does not help immediately, but it is definitely nice to have, especially since the mitts are known where they are. We can't do the rest of Ice Palace, but it's always nice to get that before you have to go into Mire or Ice.
So I do believe our runners are retracing each other's steps here, and that's you're going to have to get a little bit comfortable when you're commentating like this, because this is definitely one of those moments where we have to try to theorize where the next set of items could be, because I'm starting to think Ice Cave may have that key progression that they need to keep going into the scene.
Oh yeah, the options that these runners have, none of them are good. We've got Ice Rod Cave, we've got King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge, and also Bumper Ledge too. I think that cape, I don't know where, no, I don't remember where in pod Maniacal pulled it. Oh, Eastern, okay, so that is available. So we've got that. So that's probably the best spot with those 3 in Logic in the North Dark World. And then we also have Agena.
All that's still no bueno.
Yeah, Maniacal has a few other out-of-Logic checks like Front of Desert and Desert Ledge and Ether Tablet, but that's not in Logic. Also Bombo's Tablet, but also not in Logic. Oh, and yeah, maybe, I think that bottle was from the mountain, so Sick Kid probably not actually in Logic yet. Or no, it's still out of Logic. That one is locked by the lamp or the flute. Also, Lanabean could do the pyramid interior out of logic. But I would bet on the North Dark World just because that's 3 checks versus the other. There's only like what 2 or 3 other ones that are in logic.
Mm-hmm.
But that's using the combined information between the two. I think from Lanabean's perspective, Pod and Eastern is definitely the best play, and Maniacal just going to make the same gamble a little bit later that Lanabean made, that there's going to be something up on this mountain, but unfortunately there's nothing immediately progressive up here.
Kind of got stuck in a very hot situation there. Had to reset to do it. Oh no, wait, you can...
Yeah, Maniacal's going for that Hera pot strategy over here, which can save time if you do it quickly.
Yeah, but there's another way of doing it with that's way cleaner and less painful. But they get it the second time, so okay.
That setup that Maniacal was doing, it's pretty reliable. It's got like 3 pixels of wiggle room. I think it might even be more. It might be 2 on each side for 5 pixels total. But it's very nice. Yeah, I know about the spin speed setup you're mentioning is also nice, but not all runners like that one.
I do it all the time for some reason. I guess it's probably because I'm so used to it that I have the knack to clip into it that way. But I feel like it's more reliable than bombing into the Hera pod.
Yeah, I'm definitely also a big fan of that one. But yeah, you do whatever's consistent. And like, especially with Hera Pop being a relatively new trick, if you learn a method that works for you and you can do consistently, then you just do it.
And we're gonna see Maniacal make quick work of Morty as long as he doesn't get pushed off there, getting chased by Morty for a bit there. Was about to play some Benny Hill music for that one.
Yep, so Maniacal getting the same crystal that we saw Lanabean get earlier.
And Lanabean is on her way to the Dark Base here, and going to use the Ether to freeze these, I forgot what they call them, but
Gadongos.
Gadongos. Yeah, gonna make quick work of it. Don't have to worry about the spewing fire here. Well, except for that one. That one's a jerk.
Yeah, I like the Ether Medallion can be helpful in a few different dark rooms. I also really like it in the Eastern Dark Room because then you can freeze those popos, and then if you're familiar with the strat based off the popos location, you can easily shoot that Igor.
Yeah, I agree there. You can also use, if you have a frozen enemy, you can actually use the hammer and get the prize from their prize pool, if I remember correctly.
You get the stun prize from the hammer smash, you get a different. There's a separate pack called the hammer smash pack, which is one pack. It could be the fairy pack, it could be the bomb pack. So you get that from that pack. If you kill a frozen enemy with anything other than the hammer, you get the stun prize.
Speaking of which, I don't think any of our runners did the stun prize yet. Even when they were in No, wait, no, they didn't. No, wait, they had the boomerang at that time.
Yeah, there's just never been a great time to check it because, like, we've been mostly encountering mini Moldorms who you cannot stun easily, and they haven't really needed it. They got enough money, bombs, arrows, magic.
That's true.
So let's see where Maniacal goes now, because now they're both at about the same level of checks, and they both know that there's only a few left in logic. There's always the option to go for the double water walk, but it's a very big commitment, and it's also not the easiest trick because you have to get the fake flipper on the first try. You can use the bomb to set it up to guarantee it, but it's a very big investment that can fail. It looks like Maniacal's going to do Sick Kid, probably going to go up to that Village of Outcast portal and do North Dark World, which definitely makes sense with how many checks there are up there.
And they also have the cape, so they can take a peek at the bomb brigade and see what's up there.
Yep, 3 items. Oh, also, Maniacal hasn't done Front of Skullwoods, I believe, either, so he might want to do that while he's in the area. Lanabean already did the front of Skullwoods, but I wouldn't be surprised to see her also go to North Dark World after this. And we'll get to see that Lanabean will get that tempered sword from this green 20 that was in Eastern. So I was thinking we might get Master Sword from a decent amount of runners, but I think with the way the mirror was placed and where this fourth sword is, I think we're all going to be untempered. Though, yeah, because the mirror is hard required this seed unless you want to do the fairy revival hover, and even then you need a non-mountain bottle. And yep, we saw Lanabean pick up that fourth sword, so gonna have tempered all around, and I expect most runners this seed will be having that tempered.
Yeah, they're gonna be very happy about that.
Yeah, I think if you're someone like Maniacal who did Dark Cross, that green 20 in the Eastern chest was a bit disappointing, because you always like when you get a out-of-the-way sword that you want to have the sword advantage.
That's true, but they were able to do more with tempered, and that was a pretty quick work of it.
Oh yeah, it was definitely nice. Maniacal had the tempered 15 minutes in. And looks like Lanabean's going to do roughly the same thing as Maniacal. And it'll be funny, they're going to be probably doing the same thing at about the same time, even though they've taken fairly different routes this seed. Because, well, I guess Lanabean will save a little bit of time if she doesn't check Sick Kid here, which understandable since the bottle is still out of logic.
You can always come back to Sick Kid anytime anyway, just to make sure if you're missing something.
Yeah.
It's not completely out the way compared to, like, Zora.
She could even elect to mirror after doing the North Dark World if she wants to go check something like K45.
And that will lead her to the hook shot, which may or not be of importance yet. We have yet to find out.
Yeah, and Chad here speculating about the pedestal and what could be required. We could have the flippers up there because none of these things require the mitts that were flipper locked. Also Bombos and the flute.
Whoa,
so
wait, it can't be flippers because Swamp.
Oh yeah, you're right. Swamp is a pendant. My bad.
Yeah, but Fire Rod maybe.
No, because we got Skullwoods.
Okay, Skullwoods is pendant too. Yeah.
So probably nothing.
Yeah, Pen might be dead at this. No, wait. You could require flute.
Yeah, we have flute and Bombos Medallion potentially still. And we saw that mushroom on that lumberjack. You're never happy to see that.
That's not a good sign.
I much prefer powder on lumberjack because then I just do everything in my power to fake powder. But you can't fake mushroom. We don't have that tech yet.
Well, wait, no, you can. You can fake mushroom it. They got some arcane.
That's fake powder. That's the other way. You can pretend to have the powder with the mushroom, but you can't pretend to have the mushroom with the powder. Oh, you said powder was on ledge. Yeah, no, I said it's better when powder is up there because then you can at least hope to fake powder. But yeah, it doesn't look like this is the answer. So, it's gonna feel really bad if it's on Ice Rod Cave, because that one we've gotten to like Ice Rod Cave and Agina, and both of those definitely people could have done. I'd personally be more worried about Ice Rod Cave just because both these runners saved and quit, which I think that was the right play out of Mini Moldarm Cave. But if you had, there are definitely runners who would not have done that.
I would have been one of those runners who would not have done that, especially since you have boots very early in the run. Like, you might as well get that out the way. Yeah, at least that's what my argument is.
Yeah, the main problem was that not having any money, because the Lanabean had like 36 rupees and Maniacal had like 100, so they wanted to wait till they had Zora money.
Yeah, it's starting to look to be that at that point where they will have to start doing the out-of-place checks, and I'm seeing some fake flipper action here over on Maniacal side, and he misses up the jump, but gonna try that again.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he needs to go over here. What does he have left over here?
He may be, you know what? He may be looking to attempt to do splash deletion.
Oh no, he might be going to Ice Rod Cave here. That would make sense. Yeah, because you go in this portal and then mirror from. Now you have to be very confident in this if you're going to Ice Rod Cave. No, he's not going to go there. I just don't know what else he has over in this area. Because with the mirror, if you're very confident in your fake flip ring, you could have gotten to Ice Rod Cave. That would probably be his quickest route there. But it's very risky to fake flipper through that portal up by the Dark Witch's hut. It doesn't.
Oh, okay. I think they're doing pyramid check. Yeah.
Yeah, they just took a roundabout way rather than mirroring or saving and quitting, which I haven't calculated. I don't know if that's faster or slower or what, taking the current jump from there. No. Let's see if it's... Oh, there's our flippers. So
there's our flipper.
It's Agina. I honestly would probably feel better about Agina, but you never like checks like that in quals because all someone had to do was decide to... You get your Dark World access and just go to Agina instead of Mini Moldorm Cave.
I feel like the only reason you'll do Agina over Moldrum Cave is if you got in flu. That's the only explanation. And even then, that's still a far-fetched idea.
Well, some people just like to do Dam into Agina sometimes, though I agree with this particular item layout. It is not incredibly likely.
We do get the blue cane in a Pyramid Fairy with a piece of heart, but nothing else.
All right, so it looks like, I was wondering if Lanabean was storing a water walk for Mini Moldorm Cave, but with the flippers, you can't really do that.
Yeah, they clearly forgot they got the thing that allowed them to go into the waterfall cave to begin with and the Zora Ledge.
Yep, get the Mitts and the Zora Ledge items. But the thing about those mitts is we don't get that much in logic out of it. Like the mitts will give us hammer pegs and the smith chain. So maybe and you could do some more stuff out of the mountain. Yeah, that you could do Dark Death Mountain. It's just not in logic yet. And we can't do Swamp. We can't do Ice Palace without any way to get in there.
I'm starting to think that if that's the case, our runners should start dipping into Desert Palace because it may have their fire source there. I would not be surprised.
Yeah,
You do get literacy in Eastern. You do get the book in Eastern Palace.
It was in Pod, so it's not in logic. It was in a
Dark
Dark Room
right.
in Pod. So
Dark Room in Pod. Okay, never mind.
And it looks like Lanabean is going.
Fire Rod, though. You can still get Fire Rod.
You can, yeah. You can still get. You could even still get Lamp if Fire Rod was locking Lamp.
Yeah.
Because it was in the dark basement. But what we're seeing Lanabean go over to the pseudo sequence break here, and it's always a difficult decision here because my thought would be, okay, there's probably someone who already sequence broke the mountain and did Dark Death Mountain. So if you want to protect yourself from that sort of god route. So I definitely see why Lanabean's going up here. Oh, and also the flippers give us Swamp Palace, which is where Maniacal is going to head with those flippers.
Yeah, that's understandable to follow the logic here. I mean, and Swamp Palace does have a lot of checks to go by compared to... No, I would say the Death Mountain Dark World has a lot more compared to Swamp Palace.
Well, it has more, but they're not in logic, so we're going to need some progression. So if the logical progression in Swamp is the Lamp, sure, then Dark Death Mountain people, they'll be just fine and they won't regret anything. But if, say, the Flute is in Swamp and like there's something like the Fire Rod or the Lamp in the mountain, I guess the Lamp would at least spoil that the Flute's down here somewhere. But if you might end up going on a wild goose chase if you sequence break something on the mountain. So I like Maniacal is even electing to do Swamp before picking up the Mitts, and it makes sense because the Mitts checks that are in Logic are not that good. So if you don't want to do Smith Chain, this is also in Logic. And yeah, Dark Breath Mountain is a complete bust right here. I mean, I think Lanabean could also go over to Spike Cave, which I think is just in Logic as well. Spike Cave is one of my least favorite things about this hard item pool, because then like you'll oftentimes have in Logic Spike Cave with the bottle and the cape, but not practically easy, especially when you don't have the flute and can't go buy a potion. For that reason, I actually like the bug net a lot in this mode, because you can catch a fairy in Tower of Hera or in those bushes and do Spike Cave.
They have boots, so once they finish that, they can just go to Kakariko Village and borrow a tree to get a full magic. Especially
it's just that it's not a big problem right now because they have, 10 hearts, but sometimes they'll get Spike Cave in Logic with 5 hearts, cape, and 1 bottle, and it's rough. And we're seeing the Turtle Rock dip here at Lanabean, and I honestly agree with this because most of the time you get locked out really quickly. She's already on the mountain, so most of the time you're just going to check a chest or 2 and then leave. But there's a key here, so we're going to see a little bit more of Turtle Rock. You can get all the way to Laser Bridge without the Fire Rod in very specific key placements of Turtle Rock.
That would be really cruel if that's the case.
Yeah, it is rough if you don't get it. I like this Turtle Rock play, because if you're already here, like, you don't want to go up to Turtle Rock without the Fire Rod, but if you're already here, you're often going to get a really quick dip, and if the Fire Rod is in one of these first 2 checks, it's just so big. Oh, keep going.
And we're going deeper.
Yeah, so we need a big key, and then Laser Bridge is available. Well, maybe. I think you need to still... No, there has to be at least 1 key in... I actually don't know for sure. I know that you need this big key next, but then there can be a small key in either the Crystal Roller or the big chest after that. And meanwhile, Maniacal is over in Left Side Swamp. With this being a pendant, I definitely agree with doing it first, because you're going for checks per minute with the items, and you might not have to beat the boss.
You only get 10 arrows on the first chest of West Side Swamp, and in the other chest we get a big key.
No, and that's so Lanabean. Think for a second. Yes, go to Mimic Cave, Lanabean, because it's always difficult with this because she's locked out. There was a heart piece in that chest, but Mimic Cave is still available. And if you're already in for a penny, in for a pound, I think you do Mimic Cave here.
We do get to see what's in the big chest for Swamp Palace, and it's a piece of heart. Not really coming up with blanks today for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really rough if it's Ice Rod Cave and Agena both having progression. That would feel terrible for these runners, because that's really the last thing you want to see in a qual. Like 2 really 50-50 you could have gotten it earlier, not items like that.
We do get a bug net and a piece of heart in the flooded chest.
Yeah, and I haven't been counting my items. There's probably something. Swamp is the green pendant, so you still beat it probably anyway. But I don't know if they've gotten all the items already. Oh, Mimic Cave is just a heart piece, so that whole Dark Death Mountain for Lanabean, you're not feeling good when you get nothing out of that. So let's see if Lanabean's going to elect to go to Swamp Palace like Maniacal, or go on Smith Chain or something, which would be in Logic with the Myths. And it looks like Maniacal's going to go... He was going for the Quick Kill on Argus, which is one of the more difficult tricks, so definitely not an easy one to get there, but he's just going to go for the normal slash strats here.
Prepping up the Ice Rod to try the second part of the Quick Kill, and unfortunately missing.
Yeah, some runners they prefer one rod or the other. So if you don't have your preferred rod, then and there's the rod you prefer though. That's so
right. Oh my god.
I think Maniacal, that big sigh of relief there for him after doing all of Swamp, getting nothing. But now that Fire Rod, that's some real progression right there.
Yeah, this would allow them to take care of Desert Palace, which I hope will be the next thing they'll be doing, but it looks like they're going the opposite way. So Ice Palace instead.
He's got to get the mitts first. The first order business will be mitts.
Right.
Then
Yeah,
we'll see if he wants. I think Ice Palace is actually probably where you want to go because it's a very quick clear. You're not going to be able to combo that with Meyer later.
Yeah.
I don't know what's on this island. I don't know if they checked. Let's see.
Nope.
Oh, 10 arrows.
Checking Hobo after this. This is an understandable play. This is probably going to be the last time you'll be around this area, especially when you got Fire Rod now. Might as well get that out the way, just so you can at least curb one more item off the check. We'll curb one more check off the list, at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. It's not going to be. It's not. I mean, there may be a point where you're walking past the mirror spot for Hobo later, but not necessarily if you get the flute. Because that Fire Rod actually gives them a lot. Fire Rod puts the book into logic, so that gives you Desert Palace is going to be clearable. They have the boots, they have a fire source. It also gives them Ice Palace, and then if they find the lamp or the flute, they'll let these runners clear all of Turtle Rock. So that's a huge Fire Rod. So I think Maniacal definitely feeling really good because he elected that mitts were not going to be. I'm actually a bit surprised that he didn't check at least the waterfall and stuff, but it was a deep dive by him and really paid off.
Can go here and pick up the Titan Mist with clear conscience, and hopefully we'll see what's going on in Desert Palace soon enough. Well, Ice Palace soon enough.
Yeah, with that Kana Samari, Ice Palace is a nice, quick, clear. Desert, the main problem with Desert is that you're going to get the flute the seed, so you can just do that when you do Meyer, unless the Desert locks the flute. Lanabean going to go for a left side diver down. There's the good block placement there for it, and able to get it. And yeah, chat pointing out, Flute and Ice Rod Cave is always the worst case scenario for people who skip Ice Rod Cave if Meyer's a crystal. It's bad either way, but if Meyer's a crystal, it's the app, because that's when you want to go back to Ice Rod Cave, is when you get the flute.
What if the flute was in Ice Rod Cave?
I never like that. I'm a big fan of Ice Rod Cave skips, and if the flute's there, you just never get it. And looks like Maniacal is going to go to Dark Death Mountain, and I think this is sort of like the same logic earlier, like someone could have gotten these mitts when they did the first trip of the mountain, so if the Go mode's in Dark Death Mountain, you don't want to get wrecked by somebody who did this. So this is I definitely agree with this sort of play in a qual setting. Even though in a race, you might be tempted to go to Ice Palace and then hope that you could just go up to Turtle Rock when you're in Go mode and finish it all. But in this qual setting, if the God route is to sequence break Ice Palace or the mountain with the mitts, then you want to protect yourself from that.
I don't know. I feel like you do Ice Palace first. I usually save Turtle Rock for last, just because it's like going to be the last crystal, especially if I already got the needed items to clear it.
Well, I think the other thing that goes into the decision is Maniacal, where the mitts were on Zora Ledge. If the mitts were somewhere else, like if he got mitts on the way in Swamp Palace, I think he goes to Ice Palace first because he's already down there. But you really like to save and quit out of the out of Zora, so I can definitely see this. And yeah, I think defensive plays is a really good way to put it. People play differently in these quals because your goal isn't necessarily to finish first in this qual. Like your goal is to qualify for the main tournament. So if these runners put up like an 85 this race, they're feeling good.
Well, we know the big key is in the porch lock room, so we're not going to have to worry about searching for that today.
Yeah, and you don't really save any time if you go mode Turtle Rock, so that's another reason why. The main time save you lose out on is that you get to... It's really nice to walk right from Turtle Rock to GT. So I want to see Lanabean. I think for Lanabean, it's a much like you definitely just go to Ice Palace here because Lanabean's already cleared out most of Turtle Rock, and unlike Maniacal, Lanabean already has the mitts, so it's easy to just mirror out of here and go over to Ice Palace. Now, that green pendant probably will sit around with these runners for a while because there's never really going to be a great time to check it. Oh, there's the bow. That's so bad for Lanabean to know that bow is up there in Turtle Rock. Yeah, that you gotta feel bad for people who dipped that already. So for that bow, we now may be in Flute Go mode, maybe Bombos Medallion 2. But that flute it's a really great find for Maniacal because it's also because Maniacal going up here, it's still out of logic. We still need the lamp or the flute for this to be in logic, but that's the sort of payoff of why you sequence break the mountain. Now if there's something like maybe the lamp is at Ice Rod Cave and the flute is on Helmasaur King, and you'll save a lot of time. You don't have to go get that lamp. And we're actually seeing, so Lanabean is doing what you wanted, going over to Desert Palace first. So we'll get to see what's over here.
We do get our small key. More specifically, since now we have located the bow, we're hoping to come across, I feel like Flute has to be here if that's the case.
And it could be an Ice Palace. And Flute could also be in a bunch of weird places because it depends on what's locking the access to the mountain. If it's the lamp that's locking the access to the mountain, then the flute can be basically anywhere before GT. But if the lamp is behind the stuff on the mountain, like if lamp is locked by Canis Maria or the bow, then the flute has to be somewhere a little bit earlier, like Ice Rod Cave or Desert Palace or Ice Palace. And yeah, Pet is another option.
Yeah, Pet and Ice Rock. Okay. That's
also the worst option would be some sort of progression being in Hera Basement.
Oh, you mean the place that we kind of skipped and got right now?
The place that they were required to skip because there was no fire source.
There was no fire source whatsoever.
It took about an hour to find the first fire source this seed. And unless the lamp is somewhere like Ice Rod Cave, okay, yeah, but Mushroom Turn is definitely worse. But I will stand by Tower of Hera Basement being worse than everything other than Mushroom.
I still would have gotten that Mushroom.
Oh, really? You're going to beat Aga just for that Mushroom?
Yes.
You'd be feeling a little bit hungry
I am
today.
that spiteful.
Yeah, I mean, some people really like to eat their mushrooms, so I get it.
It goes good on pizza. But that Mushroom Turning could also be where the flute would be at, and that's the thing that worries me.
Yeah, I just think for a qualifier, I'm just going to put that off forever, because, like, the odds of somebody setting par by doing that early is so low. So, like, if I get wrecked by that mushroom, everyone gets back by the mushroom, and then everybody gets an 80, because when the par is 145, like, finishing 40 minutes after a par still gets you an 80. And yeah, also the mushroom is, until that lamp shows up, that mushroom's not even in logic. So we'll see, get to see some boss kills pretty close together. Lanabean's gonna have the fire rod, nice for this Landmola skill.
It's gonna be a 2 cycle, but it's still pretty clean.
And Maniacal showing us this dark room. It's actually a lot easier than it looks if you're familiar with this room, because you just basically alternate which direction you hold. So it goes pretty nicely. Down to only 4.5 hearts though, so Maniacal will have to be careful in this room. You don't want to get a laser to the face here. Can take 1.
I'd do an emergency exit first before doing this.
Yeah, so the thing.
Oh, never mind. We just get the Sanct Heart.
Very convenient Sanct Heart. Sanct Heart normally only fills you up when you're going for a Death Warp, but decided to be nice today. Maniacal is really good at counting items, or very confident in his item counting, because he's just skipping one of those laser bridge chest items.
Yeah, I think he got all the items here.
I always have a hard time counting the items in Turtle Rock specifically, so I just always get them.
Well, there is some downtime for you to hit your checker up real quick, thankfully enough. So there's always that to consider.
And having Tempered Sword in this no half magic, always bottle empty mode is fantastic for Trinex. There was one of the quals, it was most players had to do Fighter Sword Hammer Trinex, and it's definitely not an easy fight.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Just because it's good if you stay on schedule and the ice head doesn't shoot any, and you can get your nice hammer hits in. But as soon as something goes wrong, it's very easy to run out of magic. And Lanabean actually going to Turtle Rock really quickly. So this is again probably a good defensive play here, because she knows she's going to have to beat this at some point. And yeah, you lose out on the potential gain from doing Turtle Rock with GT, but the advantage of getting this bow will definitely offset it. So I really like to see that Lanabean's coming here.
And just as quick as Maniacal leaving out from there, statement and quitting, Lanabean is going to approach their right side torch lock room and get their bow.
Yeah, Lanabean did need to come get this bow no matter what anyway, but what I was worried about is that maybe Lanabean would find the flute in like Ice Palace and then full clear Misery Mire looking for the bow, and it's just up here. So now that's not going to happen to her for sure. I think actually Misery Mire is guaranteed to be a go mode for both of these runners now. If you can get into Mire, then you are good. You're in go mode.
Something tells me Ice Palace will bail them out, like Bombos is just tucked away in there.
Yeah, I mean, Bombos, and the rule of fire is known to apply, and if you have Fire Rod but not Bombos, then Bombos is an Ice Palace, and vice versa. It's one of those things that there's no reason it should happen, but it just feels like it happens a lot.
We like to call those shenanigan moments.
Yeah, I call it the rule of fire for that specific one. Early, I really like when the big key is that early in the Ice Palace, because if you're doing Icebreaker, you can confidently not hit the switch, but some runners will hit the switch anyway. Yeah, looks like Maniacal is going to. It does save some magic if you hit the switch. And at this point, I think that you got to figure once Maniacal's done with these dungeons, he'll you really hope you're in go mode here, because there's just not that many checks left for either of these runners. We've got the dungeons like Ice Palace, Eastern Palace, Pod, any extra items left in those. I can't remember if there was an item in Skullwoods or left that they didn't get. And then they've got like Hera Basement and Ice Rod Cave. Oh, there's a fetch quest there in the shovel in the Ice Palace. Lanabean made her way through that dark room really nicely. He's got plenty of hearts to spare for this laser bridge. Nice bomb jump there by Maniacal. If you hit the switch before your icebreaker, that bomb jump saves a good amount of time, provided you have the keys for it. I don't even know how Lanabean lined up that key dash. That was pretty nice. I always line it up by bonking on or nudging up against the wall. Oh, it looks like we've got Flute from the Iced Tea chest. So Maniacal is probably in go mode. Mathematically, probably a little more than 66% chance, because if Bombos is not required, it could be in like GT. So I think if you're Maniacal here after doing this, you just flute over to Meyer, see if you're in go mode. If not, you just beat Desert and then go over to Pod and Eastern.
Meanwhile, I'm going to be doing a very clean first phase of Trinex, and second went by in a flash. That's going to secure Lanabean their crystal, which is number 4 here.
Yep, excellent fight there. And meanwhile, Maniacal going through a Colts there. It's always a bit worrisome when you only have the 1 magic meter to miss shots, but no missed shots and very clean kill there as well.
Was very aggressive with those eyes.
And pretty close, almost simultaneous crystal pickups. So let's see where Lanabean is going to go now.
This is Ice Palace for sure.
Yeah, Ice Palace makes a lot of sense. There's just not. If Eastern and Pod had been untouched, then I think you could go there. But with Ice Palace having more items and being a quicker clear, probably you'd just do that one. We know Maniacal is going to go activate that flute right away, and then probably just go to Meyer. I don't know which one's faster, dashing out of there or mirroring. It's probably faster to mirror if you get the heart refill.
Yeah, it's faster.
Looks like Lanabean's actually going to pick up the bomb here before going to Ice Palace. Lanabean's actually also going for the bomb dupe here to save a little bit of time. All right. I'm not sure how much time it saves when you dash over there, but it's definitely nice to see. All right, so Maniacal will show us now if we're in go mode, and even if we're not, there's a decent chance that the medallion could just be in the Meyer shed, as it is known to do. You get that typical key under the doormat situation. Let's see. It's Quake, so that's go mode for Maniacal. So no mushroom shenanigans today.
In 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 24 seconds.
Yeah, I think this speed, for the most part, probably played out pretty well for Maniacal. Getting the Swamp Palace pretty early for that fire rod, and then doing Turtle Rock first to get the bow, it really seems like it's fallen together pretty nicely. I mean, it's hard to avoid, because any of the bad plays or slow plays that Maniacal made, they're kind of hard to avoid this seed. The only thing is that Agina flippers, but the flip side about those flippers is even if you get those early, you don't necessarily go back to Swamp quickly, so you get bottlenecked at the fire rod anyway.
Which was locked behind Swamp, of all things.
Yeah, because those flippers, I can see situations where routing Agina there last could be an overall time save depending on how you normally route. Because let's say you do Smith Chain or something, looking for the fire rod before doing Swamp. Maniacal didn't have to do any of that.
Meanwhile, Lanabean expressing her frustration with Taha with the turn-in prize of Green Pendant dropping a pair of bombs.
Yeah, definitely not fun to be an NPC over on Lanabean's stream. A lot of them have been getting bombed today. And very nice Meyer key layout with just having the big key in the spike room chest, especially when you're in go mode. Maniacal, having demonstrated his hovering prowess earlier, I'm sure would have preferred it to be in that bridge chest, but he'll take second best. And we are going to see Pod and Eastern before Ice for Lanabean. It doesn't really matter here because she's only going to check an extra this check, basically, by not go moding these two dungeons, because she needed to get another key anyway to get to the boss. And she's already cleared out everything else in Eastern and Pod. And Maniacal showing off his prowess in the dark rooms here. The Meyer dark rooms are some of the harder ones in the game, mainly that one where you have to place the block. There's pretty reliable strategies, but if they go wrong, it can get really bad. So very nice to come out of here really nicely. And having the silver arrows, this should be a nice, easy, Vitreous fight.
Who needs a lantern?
Yep, no lamp this seed. It does have to be somewhere. I'm gonna just, it's probably in like, could be on pedestal maybe, I think,
Pedestal or ice cave?
Ice Ride Cave or pedestal, or maybe if there's another item in Swamp. It's got there's not very many locations left for it. Because with the crystal layout, it cannot be in Ganon's Tower. No, Eastern had the big key early, so lamp can be on Ped. Because you can beat Eastern without the lamp as long as the big key is not vanilla and the fire rod is not locked by the lamp. So it would be very convoluted to do the seed as intended to get that pedestal lamp. You'd have to beat Swamp and then go into Eastern and clear it with the fire rod, but possible that that's what happened. We'll know in the credits if that's the case. I think it could also be something like Mire Shed or Checkerboard Cave too. Yeah, Smith Chain's another option. And we see Lanabean not just bombing NPCs, also going to use some bombs on Helmasaur King, because bombs do 4 times as much damage as the hammer. So with Quick Swap, if you can get some early hits, it is worth it. And this is also a great desert layout, too, for go-moding it. So pretty nice dungeons over here.
Oh, look, there's our bombos.
Yeah, I think that's actually good there for Lana, because when she gets the flute, she will 100% know that she's in go mode. There'll be no moments of anticipation between beating Cold Stare and having to check to see if it's go mode or not.
Yep, all that's left for Lanabean to do is to make a break for the Ice Palace, which they are doing right now, and see what's up in there. And once they get the flute, they'll just start just running like the Dickens to make sure they finish the seed as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward of a play for her to go there right now. It's a fully clearable crystal, and there's not really much else left. I guess she's gonna go and do Hobo and check that floating island first, or maybe just the floating island.
Yeah,
I definitely like not doing Hobo here because Ice Palace with Icebreaker is relatively quick. So the difference between go mode or not versus checking Hobo or not is definitely gonna be beneficial. So Maniacal just has to go over and beat Palace of Darkness.
Which they practically already did. They cleaned out that dungeon, like, on their first dip. Just gotta fight a big guy in a mask.
Yep, he already has the key from the Bollock side, so he'll be able to just go in right away.
An excellent room clear from Lanabean. That ping room can always be a little bit tricky to do. Yeah,
the bomb strats. I like the bomb strats a lot in that room because no matter what, when you're Ice Pals, you can do it. Sometimes you'll get inverted or cross keys seeds where you get here really early and have no items. And like this tournament actually will have some inverted seeds, so it's good to know that strategy. None of the qualifiers will be inverted, but once you get to the actual tournament, you could be playing some. Lanabean gets her icebreaker. It's always nice when you have the Cane of Samaria for this room and don't have to deal with any statue pushing. So yeah, it's looked like Maniacal will probably come out of this about a mire clear in front of where Lanabean is. Though, as we mentioned, these runners are both, with these qualifiers, you don't have to necessarily win the seed. You just want to get a good enough time so you can qualify. So hopefully for both these runners, I don't know what the par time will be for the seed, but it will be looking pretty okay.
And an excellent bomb jump from Lanabean over there. Just making this look easy.
Yeah, and as Maniacal's making his way to his 7th crystal, we've got a channel point prediction for the GT Big Key. Now, obviously, we're still going to have we can't start the official guessing game till the crystal's picked up. That's in our contract as commentators. However, you can get your early bets in for the 1 through 6 or 18 through 22 or 7 through 17. So some pretty varied different choices there. And Lanabean picking up the flute already, so she will have her go mode, so won't be too far behind Maniacal here. Oh, and welcome to all the raiders from SpeedGaming. Both these runners are in go mode now, so it's just the execution phase of the seed, just trying to beat Ganon as quickly as possible.
We had to find the fire rod. It was in Swamp Palace. It was disgusting.
Oh yeah, the Agena flipper is into Fire Rod, so it's basically no matter when you got those flippers, that Fire Rod's probably going to be pretty late, so most runners here are going to get bottlenecked. And we see Lanabean showing off the Sword Beam duplication strategy there, where if you hit Colts there with a Sword Beam right after a Fire Rod shot, it counts as a Fire Rod shot. So really nice there. All right, Maniacal has collected his 7th crystal. What does that mean for us, Hub?
Oh man, we get to play the guessing game. So before Maniacal reaches the Ganon's Tower that's on Death Mountain Dark World, we can guess the number 1 through 22, probably? Yeah, 22, right? But yeah
22. You can also place some big bets in the commentator, in the channel point prediction if you want to get some nice imaginary internet points to go with your fame for guessing the key correctly.
Yep. And if you guess the key correctly without going over the check count, you do win those delicious internet points as well as some channel points for you to use in this channel.
What number do you like to pick, Hub, for this big key?
I want to say usually I don't really have a favorite number, but today I'm feeling a little bit 14 today. I feel 14 is going to be our big key location.
I normally also like 14. However, I saw the channel point prediction for 1 through 6 or 18 to 22, and that's just such an enticing option because then you get both the early and the late big keys. So I'm just going to go with 2 today, and I put my money on that 1, 6, 18, 22 bet. That looks like some fun. I'm not a big fan of the big key actually being in the middle. I like when it's either really early or really late.
Let's hope that's not Commentator's curse in its entire room.
No, it'll be in Hope Room. We're good.
Last chance to get your bets in.
And Lanabean, yep, you're going to be clearing out Meyer about the same time Maniacal's heading into GT.
And betting's closed. We are underway in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, it looks like Maniacal is going to go right first. So some runners will go left first and look for that mirroring out of the Stalfos room. So check number 1, 20 rupees. Check number 2, small key. So we will be going the prediction off of Maniacal. He's obviously there fairly much before Lanabean, but whoever gets in there first, that's who we use.
At least for the restream, that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting the key in Hope Room will usually prompt a lot of runners to take on the right side first. Since
Yeah.
you might as well get it out the way. There's no harm in doing it if you're already committed to doing Hope Room.
Yeah, if you do Hope Room first, then you get a key, then you almost certainly want to go to the right, because otherwise you get really wrecked by people who do the mirror from Stalfos Room strategy and go over here and get big key here. 3 is 10 arrows, 4 is a heart piece, compass is number 5, and number 6 is 300. So the people like me who bet on that first option are gonna have to hope for 18 to 22 now, or else gonna lose some money. By money, I mean fake internet points. I believe vanilla tile room is a key.
I think Torch was number 7, right?
Yes. Lanabean making her way through the dark rooms. We got 8 and 9, small key and red rupee. Small key in number 10, powder in number 11.
Well, at least with that powder, we can do some backup stretch just in case we're low on hearts here, especially during the gauntlet climb.
Yeah, powder is a very nice safety, especially in a mode like this where you're always on green mail. And no boomerang choice today. Neither of these runners have the red boomerang, so we'll get to no boomerang debates in GT today. And Silver Arrow's making quicklit work of Vitreous over on Lanabean's side, so Lanabean's going to be collecting her 7th crystal right now. And there's the big key, and that was number 13, I believe. So congratulations to option 2 bettors and anyone who put 13 in chat.
That was one off, but you know, that's okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're playing Price is Right rules, you busted still, but it's okay. Busted less than I did. I distributed some nice points to option 2 bettors in chat. And the Silver Arrows and Tempered Sword. This should be a nice climb here for Maniacal. It can sometimes be annoying if you have no boots and Master or Fighter Sword. But with Silver's Tempered Boots, this should be a pretty quick climb for Maniacal. Onto the gauntlet rooms for Maniacal. Very nicely done in that first room. And this room is one of the more annoying rooms because those guys can just get pretty spread out all over the map. So good to see Maniacal get out of this one. This one is a little bit more reliable because you can pretty often swipe those guys. Very nice.
Arrow. Very nice arrow.
Yeah, that Stalfos can sometimes, if he doesn't stop moving, it's really annoying to hit him with the arrow. And you like to have the arrows still equipped because you don't have to bother switching. So really nice there.
Oh, baby, a triple. First cycle.
Yeah, pretty nice climb overall from Maniacal. And it can, these little, like, execution in the climb can factor pretty decently in seeding or qualifying for this tournament if you have a bit of an unfortunate climb, because it's something you do every seed, and it's something that's, if you're well practiced on, easy to save, I don't know, 20 seconds over someone who's a little less experienced, or if definitely don't want to take a death and lose a bunch of time.
Meanwhile, Lanabean moving away from the Hope Room, doing the checks there, to take a look on the left side. She's going to get her big key very soon.
Yeah, I think she'll get it a little bit slower than Maniacal because the 13th check in this route is, I believe, a bit slower than the route Maniacal did. It's faster through the first 11, but I believe slower through the other ones, and it depends if there's a key or not. Maniacal's still going to check these chests, get a nice refill there, so that could be a time save, because there's not really that much in these chests that could help. I guess the lamp could help, but it can't be a GT. Oh, Lana's actually doing left side rush, so yeah, she'll get that big key even faster. So not all runners do this.
Yeah, she went to Hope Room real quick after the 2 checks and then mirrored out immediately afterwards.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because with enough, there are different strategies, and this will definitely pay off for her today. And that's also nice because she's going to basically, like, most runners are not going to get, this is going to be almost as fast as you can get this key. Like, you could have skipped Hope Room too, but that's risky because you might get key locked out of places. So definitely a nice, basically free 40-second time save for Lanabean. Which, I mean, the seed hasn't gone particularly great in some ways with Turtle Rock for it, but again, this is a qualifier, so that 40 seconds gives you an extra, I don't know, half a point on your qualifier, can be worth it.
Meanwhile, Maniacal does some trigonometry, getting almost a triple there, but no dice.
Yeah, that was a really nice first 2. He almost got the double triple, but unfortunately that 1 was just a little wide left.
Still ends up clearing out the fight in a pretty fast fashion.
So Maniacal's gonna get to drop into his Ganon fight. 15 hearts, tempered sword, silvers should be a pretty nice Ganon fight. That's about as nice as you can expect in this sort of seed.
You can even use the cape if you really want to, if you ever feel inclined to do that.
Ganon got the stop facing the screen, which probably messed up Maniacal's double 1 cycle. I don't know what you're supposed to do when he does that.
A little early on the hook shot there, but pretty sure he got it in the second one cleanly.
All right, so Kai got enough hits, but gonna just get some extra credit on Ganon there. And he's using the trick where if you grab the wall while you have the cape, the magic does not decrease, which he has to, Maniacal has to be careful here. You cannot, I think he has to get the, he has a blue potion, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say he has a blue.
Like, he could still do the fight. If he gets lucky with Ganon and gets the torch glitch, you can beat Ganon with 1 fire rod shot with silvers, but no lamp, it's pretty risky. But luckily, he knew he had a blue potion, so that's why he was playing that way. All right, no warped Ganon, that's pretty good. Yeah, definitely good to have that blue potion because you can't waste a shot when you've only got that 1. And then you don't want to interrupt. Oh, that was almost a disaster from Maniacal, but he managed to recover. Because you wanted to interrupt him like he did there. You did it a little bit later than you wanted because you can get a triple shot on him if you interrupt him low enough, which is why Maniacal's going to go here for a double. Like, yeah, now he'll be able to get 2 shots on him. So very nice.
And down goes Ganon for Maniacal. Get your GGs out in chat for Maniacal as he crosses the finish line.
Yeah, he's going to finish with a fairly nice time here. 1:32 and some change. So yeah, Maniacal has finished, so let's wait. We'll see if he's going to come in for an interview. And meanwhile, we can focus our attention over to Lanabean now, who's in Moldorm right now.
She is finishing up that fight, doing an excellent work there, making clean work of more of them too.
All right, we're joined now by Maniacal. Good games there.
Oh my. Thank you, GG.
Yeah, how'd you feel about that seed?
I felt very Peepo Clown about it.
Yeah, it was. Can you talk about that Swamp Palace play a little bit? How you decided you wanted to go there before like Waterfall and some other checks?
Well, I knew about the mitts. I had just gotten the flippers, and I really, I'd been putting off the Waterwalk fake flipper, and just decided, okay, I kind of want to force something to be hard behind the flippers, and just see if we can make it happen, because, context, right? This is my 5th qualifier. My first 4 were acceptable, and I expect to seed okay with them. So really, this was me playing for a home run seed.
Well,
right?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting to see those sort of plays with how you play in quals versus in normal ones. Yeah, so very good context.
Yeah, it's very important to remember that I've done 4. My low is an 83 right now, and my second low is an 84. So right now, my drops are looking pretty reasonable. So if I completely beef this, if I'm completely wrong about Swamp, then I'm still playing an 83 because my 0 will be replaced by whatever garbage I get on this.
Yeah.
So, whereas my high's a 95, my high drop's a 95, and I'm looking to replace a 95 with this, where my second was an 87 or something. So I'm looking at a +8 on the upside if I can actually hit on this seed, whereas my loss is very, very marginal. So it was very much informed by the tournament situation I was in as to whether I wanted to go into Swamp there.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because it can be a difference between what sort of quartile you get in if you're going to qualify. And
exactly. I think I'm probably in the 2nd quartile range, but this result gives me an outside shot at 1st.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to keep an eye on how the other quals are going, whether I need to play another seed or not, try and bring that average up a little bit. Because right now I'm still very low risk because I'm dropping an 83 and I'm playing an 84. So if I pick up an 83 off a really bad result, it's not that much skin off my back.
All right, yeah, I'm going to interrupt a little bit right now because Lanabean is finishing up. Had a pretty nice Ganon fight there. Again, we'll get a nice double and at the bottom down there. So Lanabean will be finishing with also a really good time here with 1:35:58 as her time. So now that both runners are finished, we can say Maniacal finished 3rd place overall for this seed. So as he was kind of talking about, that's going to be a really good score and will replace his high seed. So definitely you got what you wanted here, Maniacal. And Lanabean finishing 12th place. So also a very good finish for Lanabean.
Yeah, GG Lanabean. But that was exactly what I had to play for. Was I was playing to try and keep the 95 live.
Thank you, GG.
So Lanabean, what were your first thoughts on how that seed went out?
I thought it was an interesting early start. Just like the last seed, my fear was that flute was going to be somewhere for Death Mountain access. So I was like, well, it's either going to be a flute or a lamp. So I kept doing in-logic checks before finally getting to the stuff I opened. It was slow, but it worked out. I don't know.
Do we have any idea where lamp was?
Nope.
No clue. Sequence broke everything, and I was like, okay, what's Death Mountain access? Okay, keep going.
It could have been an ice rod cave for all we know at this point.
Yeah, I took hammer and played early escape for the sword, and was like, well, we did escape that we didn't need to do, but we got a sword out of it, and now let's have some fun. And saw those mitts on Graveyard Ledge and got the mirror, or not Grave, or on Zora Ledge and got the mirror off Pyramid, and I was just like, well, we're gonna go for a ride of some sort, and it's either gonna work out fantastically or it's not.
Aren't you Agina?
Yeah, I know. Agina I was super late to, and so when I got there, I was just like, well, other people have had their mitts for quite a while if they were really being thorough about their Sphere 1s. So in order to get back into it, I pretty much have to go direct to Swamp because of the way where I was in terms of like what I was playing and what I was canceling in scoring for the tournament, because this was my 5th qualifier. So it was sort of a free roll because my other 4 were fine. And so I had to go a little wild and play Swamp.
I did Swamp a little bit too late myself. It was just one of those things I was like, I could do it, but it may just have a lamp, so why? Oh.
Yeah, that's the worst, when you don't know if you sequence broke the lamp or the flute and Meyer is a crystal.
And then you beat the whole dungeon, and it takes until you beat Argus before you get your payout. And then you're like, okay, do I go turn in Green Pendant now, or do I just wait until I brought in Pod when I find the bow? Or is bow on somewhere? I don't know.
I got that fire out. I was like, heck, Green Pendant. And up until Argus, I was just like, well, this is how we die. I guess this is my drop. Guess we're playing this 83. But then Fire Rod dropped, and I pogged pretty hard, honestly. I was pretty stoked about it. And then, like, Turtle Rock hit and Ice hit, and I couldn't have gotten much luckier about this one.
My main issue is I went into Turtle Rock before going into Swamp, and that cost me some time. That was about 4 or 5 minutes or so wasted, but yeah, that's what it is.
Then, like, I realized that even if I got, like, 100 plus on this, I was still playing a 95, and I wasn't likely to replace this score. So then I started playing rather conservatively in Cannon's Tower.
Yeah.
It was really kind of funny.
Yeah, the seed kind of played pretty darn well, though. I think it pointed in some good directions. I just have no idea where that lamp is to put Death Mountain in logic.
The lamp was actually on the Smith, according to chat.
Oh, that makes sense.
Flips to Mitts to Smith sequence. Yeah, like I'm not surprised. Felt really
actually,
good about finding the hook shot.
I think the flute, you had logical access to the flute before any of you guys got up to the mountain, because all you needed was the mirror, the hook shot, and the flippers and the hammer, and all those were available. So the flute you could actually get over to.
Yeah, you had to get your Fire Rod.
Yeah, from Swamp.
Again, you had to go just in Swamp. So then Bombos was in GT, and I was like, well, no one did it.
Or it was on Helma.
Oh, Helma. I knew it was super late. It was somewhere
it was locked by the mountain.
Yeah. Sorry.
Lanabean, one play that you made that I wanted to ask you about is so once you got the Fire Rod, you went right back up to Turtle Rock. What was the particular reason for going up to Turtle Rock out of logic? I definitely agreed with the play, but I just kind of want to hear with why you decided to do it.
Already cleaned out most of Pod. I had nothing left in Eastern, and I was like, okay, there may be a bow in there, something like that, and I at least want that to be able to finish up Pod. But I don't know. I was thinking that there could be a flute in there or something like that at the time. I didn't necessarily think Bo would be in there. I thought Bo may be hiding in like Meyer or something like that. But I guess it was just a bow in there.
Yeah, I think it was a good play for like a defensive play for the qual, because then like if someone else had a good route that got up the Turtle Rock and was able to full clear right away, you could protect yourself from the eventual bow up there. So
it is, and my overall fear was that if I went to Ice Palace and found the flute, which I did, then I would have ended up clearing Meyer full bore, and I had less of a Turtle Rock to do per se. It was in one extra Death Mountain climb, but my fear was right in that I probably would have ended up doing more if I ended up going to Ice Palace over Turtle Rock again to finish it.
That's really interesting. I also was faced with the Turtle Rock v Ice decision, as I think a lot of runners were. I decided to go to Turtle Rock because I had a red potion in inventory. And I was like, I don't want to go get a blue right now. I don't have the flute. And I can see myself just completely beefing the cold fight. So I'm just going to hope that the answer is Turtle Rock.
Yeah, I'm just
also,
glad
I had Dark Mountain at the same time.
True. Yeah, it only gave the bow, thankfully. I mean, that only allowed us to finish up Pod, basically, and then go to right side and finish that up. But yeah. I don't know. I was basically last location of things left and right. I was just last locationing things optimally, almost, minus doing Blacksmith Chain, I think. I think I did just about everything else.
Yeah, like there's like Hera basement and some other ice rod cave, some other random one-offs. But yeah, you guys both were pretty complete clears. And yeah, I think that the efficient last locating is a good point because like both of you guys got to the flippers really late, which were Sphere 0. But I think it actually worked out well for you guys because you ended up getting to the fire rod a little faster, whereas someone who got those flippers earlier probably does something like Smith Chain.
I think you're maybe... Sorry, go ahead, Lana.
No, you're good. You go right ahead.
Yeah. So I was going to say, I think you're maybe giving me a little too much credit on the full clear, because, like, I didn't see Desert Ledge. I didn't do Ice Rod Cave. I didn't do Green Pendant Turn-In. Like, there were a lot of loose squares that were still left on my map, so I was playing pretty fast and loose, but, like, I kind of discussed a little bit philosophically how I ended up there. But, like, I don't want to give myself too much credit. I did not have an efficient full clear.
Did like north route when I should have done south route, and when I got my mirror, which would have got me my hook shot, and this was a kind of a little bit of a hard seed to route because you had to be lucky enough to go ahead and dip Skull Woods early to get that ether, to not have to try and do a bunch of searching to find it, which is what I fear is probably holding a lot of runners back. Because who wants to go to the back or the mid part of Skull Woods with no fire run?
Yeah, that was a big punish point. Pyramid was a big punish point. Agena was a big punish point that it sounds like both of us got punished by, and then obviously the fire rod on Argus. So I was honestly surprised that I ended up third in this one. I thought, like, man, I just got away with one here when I found the flute in Ice Palace. But you know, obviously Gamachu and Furious Magic really good, and I took a pretty conservative tack at the end game because I knew that, like, no matter what I did, at best I was getting credit for a 95 out of this seed.
I'll take 6 minutes behind first place. I know I'm no chance of winning this tournament, but I'm going to have some fun, at least trying to qualify.
So how many qualifiers have you done now, Lanabean? I haven't looked.
I think this was my...
I think it's your 5th.
I think it's
checked
5th,
both
yeah.
you guys.
Oh, nice.
I think it's
you
5th.
guys both. I think you guys are both pretty solidly in. Like Lanabean, I don't know how much this is going to be one of your higher scores because your average was, or your projected score was in the mid 80s, but you'll be now in the high 80s at worst.
I have not even looked at that thing. I don't even know where to find it.
Yeah, you guys were both looking pretty good. So after both having good scores, I think you guys are both looking even better now.
Oh, wonderful. I'll play some more this weekend for fun. Or maybe commentary. I don't know.
I cannot imagine a situation where I would miss the 128 on this.
Oh, no way.
Like, I think it would be absurd for me to miss the 64 on this, if being honest. 32 is an outlier, and I might need to play more qualifiers to try and gun for 32. We'll have to see what other folks are able to do and what the other textures of the seeds are.
Yeah, for sure, because I think the bar is generally around the 77 to 80 range for the 128. So you guys should be solidly above that.
That was last year's heuristic, and I've been talking to a lot of friends who also play about this, and I feel like that's maybe a little generous. Like, I do expect it to be higher. So if you gave me 78 as a line from last year, I would absolutely bet the over for the line this year, just because there have been a lot of seeds that have been really slow full cleary so far in the quals. So there have been a lot of seeds where, 50, 70 people get like 84 plus. Yeah, so like I don't see that converting to a 77 average unless the texture of the qualifiers changes significantly.
Yeah, you could have some late game seeds where there's like those terrible qual seeds which if you decide to go to Hype Cave or Village of Outcast first makes it a 40-minute difference in your finish time.
Yeah, or qual 4 that all of us who didn't play are jealous we didn't play because first place was like 110 minutes.
210 is like 80.
Yeah, like I'll take my free 85, thanks. Whereas, some of the folks who played Qual 1 and missed the jet, like Ravis with the 58, that's a hell of a time right there.
Yeah, there's always the qualifiers that just give you basically free points, but the game we play, there's going to be some random elements to it.
it's very much, you know, in a way, which qualifiers did you join, which ones didn't you join. This one, it had some traps, so like it seems like a lot of people got through them okay. Uncle Boots kind of helps. Helps sort of smooth out some of those rough edges a little bit for folks, although I was almost very late to Uncle. I wasn't going to Uncle unless that hammer was in Link's house, otherwise I was going over to the bomb bushes. So I was just like, you know, again, with the philosophy of I kind of want to gamble a little differently than I might normally in this seed because it is my 5th qual and I'm happy with the 4 scores I have already, so I do kind of need to hit a bit of a home run. I was just like, well, hammer, let's go do escape and see what we find.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Even though the escape sequence ended up being nothing, but you definitely want to get those Uncle Boots.
Yeah, I got boots out of it. I got a sword out of Dark Cross, and since there was nothing hard required out of it, and then the glove popped pretty immediately thereafter, I was just like, okay, well, now is my license to gamble and be a little more wild than I might otherwise, because, you know, for me, if it's not above an 83, it's not playing.
Are you telling me I skipped Dark Cross and there's a sword there?
I'm absolutely telling you that.
Oh, darn it.
It made the back and Keyrat a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I'll tell you that.
I was just like,
man, I got hammer and like 4 bombs, and we got to do Dark Cross, and I'm like dashing to check my position. Oh, cool! It's a sword.
It's like I could do this from the south for 3 hearts, but no, see ya. Save and quit. Never went back. Well, I did the back, and then I pretty much didn't even bother trying to get the Dark Cross. I was just done.
Yeah, where was the green 20? Where was that 3rd sword? I'm trying to remember.
Eastern Vanilla Big.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they were both behind the lamp.
That's where I got my tempered.
Or fire rod, I guess, but the second one, lamp.
Yeah, the sword on route, because with the swords being Catfish, Dark Cross, and then one was in like Mini Moldorm Cave or something.
Sounds right.
I was worried that you would have some disparity because like you might skip if the 4th sword had been like Smith Chain, then I think we would have seen a lot of Master Sword clears of this seed. But
yeah,
with it being on that Eastern Vanilla Big, basically everyone was going to get tempered with where the mirror was.
Yeah, I mean, Eastern opening on Compass map. Well, okay, I'm guaranteed an item over here. Like no one. Some people may skip it, right? Like if you're. Because it's a pendant, right? Like you didn't need to touch pendant Eastern. Yeah,
it's just hard with the way how bottlenecky this seed was.
Yeah, with the answer being Argus, because Argus was the answer. I think a lot of players are getting that sword who otherwise may not have.
Yeah, I agree, because I think you just get so bottlenecked towards the mid game when you're looking for the lamp or the flute or whatever puts your next progression is. If you sequence broke the mountain, that going over to the pod Eastern area is just too lucrative.
100% agree.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for putting on a great run today. So I'll probably be seeing both of you guys in the main tournament. So thanks for coming in again.
Yeah. Feels good. I haven't done one of the main ALTTPR tournaments since the fabled 512 person Swiss in I think 2018 spring. So it'll be fun to get back at it.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for the commentating and track and restreaming, all that fun stuff. I do greatly appreciate it. Now that I'm more involved with what you guys do, I appreciate it even more. So thank you all very much for having me on tonight.
Echo that 100%. GG Lanabean, and huge ups to Esper Hub and Dane on comms. And I think it was Drossi tracking?
GG Maniacal. Fantastic job tonight. Well done.
Yeah, it was a good one to luck into being restreamed and then to kind of like hit a bit lucky. I hope it was a fun watch.
We'll take it.
Yeah, so give our runners a follow. Got Drossi in chat posting the links to them. Also, give the SpeedGaming channels a follow. You get to catch more of these qualifiers and the eventual main tournament coming up here. So don't want to miss that if you're a fan of Link to the Past Randomizer. So follow SpeedGaming with no number and SpeedGaming 2 through 6. Also, if you can, drop a commentary follow for me and Esper, and also Drossi on tracking. So thanks again, everyone, all the volunteers. And and runners.